Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Lou Parica, and I am a success mindset mentor. I help you shift the way you think, release limiting beliefs so you can live a life of freedom and abundance. So, today's class is Our Environment is But Our Looking Glass. Now, what this means is we all have an opinion of ourselves, and that opinion is reflected in our outside world that surrounds us. So when we look at our results, whether it's business, whether it's relationships, whether it's your health, your weight, your bank statement, all of these different things reflect the inner image that we have within ourselves. And as I mentioned in our description, we actually have two images, and you may be able to identify with this. First, the inner image is the perception of who we truly are, what we are, and what our self worth is. And this self image, this inner image, is programmed deep in the recesses of our subconscious mind. Then we have this outer image. This is the one we project to the world by the way the way we dress, the way we walk, the way we talk, the way we meet and greet people. And our results are always a reflection of what's going on internally. So we all operate with an image, whether it's individually or if you have a team, the team has an image, the company has an image, the family has an image, and you can never outperform that image. So, if we want better results in our life, we must shift the perception of ourselves and live by a higher vision that we have of ourselves. So a lot of this is one of my favorite topics is self-image. And I want you guys, if you're really interested in learning to study who you are and how you got the way you got, the results that you have in life, if you want to shift anything, I highly recommend this book. This is a book that you don't just read. As you can see, I've got lots of tabs and notes and highlights, and I underline the highlights, I star, I put hearts, I put sometimes, fireworks. But this is all based on self-image. And the title of it is Psycho-Cybernetics, meaning machines have a cybernetic system within them. And just to give you an example, when you think of an airplane has a cybernetic mechanism within it. When the plane is going to take off from Boston to LA, for an example, it has a flight pattern in it. And that flight pattern is going to go from Boston to LA. That cybernetic mechanism will detect anytime it deviates off the flight pattern. So, for an example, if it hits turbulence, if it goes up or goes down, that mechanism will bring it straight on course to reach its goal. The same thing, one that you might be familiar with is like your thermostat. So let's just say you set your thermostat at 70 degrees and it's wintertime and someone opens the front door and a cold gust of wind comes in. Well, that temperature is going to drop maybe to 68, 65 degrees, whatever it is. The cybernetic mechanism within that thermostat will send a message to the furnace for the heat to kick on to bring it back to that 70 degrees. So we as people, humans, also have a cybernetic mechanism within us. And I want you to know that every human being, every one of us is engineered to succeed. Every one of us has access to a higher and greater power than ourselves. Everyone. This means you and this means me. So if our perception of ourselves is unworthy of love, of happiness, of success, etc., then the picture that we have must be incorrect. So this is what we're going to be talking about today. Again, I didn't know, I've always heard about self-image and self-worth and things like that, but I never really understood the importance of it. I didn't know that I couldn't outperform my self-image. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And I wanted to give you another example of maybe these you can definitely relate to is, let's say, diet time, right? Here comes January, we're going to lose some weight. But our image of ourselves, if we've been telling ourselves for years, I'm fat, um, I look terrible in clothes. Susie looks so much better than me. How come I can't be slender like all the people that I see on TV or social media? When we keep telling, that's our inner dialogue. That's what we've been programmed. That's our cybernetic system. So what happens is you want to now go on a diet. You're like, I'm going on a diet. I'm going to lose weight. And you may lose the weight. But what happens is eventually the weight comes back on because that cybernetic mechanism is programmed to with that image that you have in your subconscious mind. You have an image. I have an image of who we think we are. So if that image is programmed to see us, fat, unlovable, unworthy, failures, etc., that's what's going to keep on happening. No matter how much you try, you may have success, but boom, it'll bring you right back down. So we need to change that mechanism. Also, this is good with kids with report cards. This is why this information is super important to get it to young kids. And if you have children and their self-image is low, how do you know? Because it really reflects in their report card and their behavior. So what happens? The child brings home the report card. Let's say there's a D on it or an E or failure. And he feels badly, or he or she feels badly about themselves. The parent may punish the child. Maybe they, no phone, or you got to study harder. And the kid maybe studies hard, and maybe the next test that they get or next report card is really good. But what happens, it will eventually go back to where it was because the child has not changed the image that he has in his subconscious mind. So that's what we're going to be talking about. So how does this image exist within us? I got to bring up my favorite prop here. And if you've seen me before, you've seen the stick person. This is the best concept that I've ever learned. And it's also the best concept my mentor, Bob Proctor, has ever learned. And I want to share it with you because it brings clarity. Again, the biggest circle is going to represent your mind. Your mind is activity, it's energy. You can't see it or touch it. But unless you have an image of it, you'll have confusion because you don't have a picture. We think in pictures. The smaller circle represents the body. The reason that this bigger circle, the mind, is bigger is because we tend not to put any emphasis or energy on something that we cannot see. We put all our attention on the body, which is what we do see every day, the physical part of us. So what happens, and I'm not going to go into too much depth, but this top half of the mind we call the conscious mind. This is the thinking mind. It's the educated mind. It's where our intellect is. This is when you go to school and you study and you learn and you take in information. This is where it's all going. Okay, so this is why I just did a training at a real estate office, and they do a lot of training, as with most real estate companies, right? Mortgage brokers, a lot of training. And what happens is all the information is just gathered up here. It's just kind of sitting there. And this is why a lot of people don't implement what they've learned, just all kind of sitting up there. But this part of our mind, the conscious mind, the thinking mind, isn't really developed till about the age of 7. See, this is where we can choose ideas, create ideas. We can accept or reject ideas or thoughts. This bar here, I call the gatekeeper. This is where I say, all right, I don't want to accept that idea. I'm going to reject that idea. I reject the idea of lack and scarcity. I believe in abundance. Okay. So it's the gatekeeper to the subconscious mind. The lower part is the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind, now this is important, must accept what is given to it by the conscious mind. It must accept. It has no ability to reject. Okay. It does not know the difference between what is real and what is imagined. So, and these are your five senses. Okay. This is always gathering information from your outer world and letting you know what's going on. But I want you to take this top half off, and the subconscious mind is wide open. This is when you are a baby, when we're babies. This whole top half just doesn't exist yet, okay? That's why a baby can't make decisions. It doesn't say, I want warm milk, not the cold milk. It just must accept everything. And the reason for this is part of learning to exist with our tribe, the people that we're going to be associating with, right? Our family, our friends, our neighbors, etc. So this is wide open. So all the opinions, all the ideas, all the habits, whether they're good or bad, are all being dumped into the baby's subconscious mind. This is where a baby's self-image is starting to develop. If you've listened to me before, I talk about paradigms. Paradigms are located in the subconscious mind, and it's a programming. It's a programming of your beliefs, and these are all really from when you were a baby. So a baby doesn't have a self-image. Where does that self-image come from? A baby doesn't know what hate is. Where does hate come from? A baby doesn't know what judgment is. Where does that all come from? It was all dumped into the subconscious mind. So we're going to be talking about the self-image. So this self-image has already created a pattern of who this child, this person believes that they are. And this is why when your self-image is developed very young, typically it's the same one you carry out throughout your entire life. So this was handed down to you. You had no choice. You had no say on who you wanted to be. It was all kind of, again, planted into you by other people's opinions and habits and beliefs. You had no say. So this is why if you have a low self-image, low self-esteem, low self-worth, that was because of all the stuff that you picked up when you were a baby. And this is why I'm so passionate about bringing this information to so many people, because it doesn't have to be that way. But what happens is this image, right? This has an image. So let's go back to the child with the bad report card. This child really believes that he's not intelligent. And he starts to behave because the subconscious mind must prove this pattern, this belief. It must make it right, because this is the cybernetic mechanism. It has a pattern and it's going to follow it. If this child gets good grades, it's going to bring that child back down because they have not changed the pattern, the cybernetic mechanism within the subconscious mind. This is why when you go to change or replace your self-image, first of all, it's super important to have you believe you can be that person. This is why I stress having a goal, a really lofty goal, because what happens is the lofty goal takes you into the unknown. If you have a goal that you know how to do, if you purchased a system or a strategy, and if you follow it, there's a really good chance that you can achieve that goal. But what happens is there's no inspiration behind that. It's a little bit exciting, but there's not a true desire. This is why we go for what we call C type goals, going beyond what you believe you can even do. We're going into the unknown. This is what makes life fun for us. So we have to think of a goal. This cybernetic mechanism needs a target to follow. It needs to look for a target. It has to have a goal. Same thing with us. We must have a goal for the cybernetic mechanism to follow. So, a couple of things, and I got this out of psycho-cybernetics. We must have a goal or a target for it to aim for. And this goal must, and I say this all the time, must already be in existence in our mind. We must imagine it. This is why when we have an idea, if we don't get emotionally involved with the idea, if we really want it, it goes into the subconscious mind. I use the example of a home buyer. Person wants to buy a house. They're thinking about it. Yeah, maybe not. Until they get emotionally involved with the idea, they start really thinking about the idea, thinking about becoming a homeowner, thinking about inviting friends over, thinking about the holidays, thinking about that they can paint the rooms any color they want. They're getting emotionally involved with the idea. This is when they start taking action, because you see the heart here, the emotion is connected to the body. It's energy in motion. When you're emotionally involved with an idea, this is when the body starts to take action. It's the doing part. The body will go into action. It must have an image to follow. This is why if you want to be a mega agent or top producer, you must create the image in the subconscious mind, not just up here, not just think about it. You must become emotionally involved in it, whether it's sales, whether it's your health, whether it's relationships. You must get emotionally involved with the idea and create the image. This will start the success mechanism to start heading towards the goal, but it must think it already exists. This mechanism will supply you with the means. I talked about this last week. Many times we'll have an idea, but we start thinking, well, how are we going to do it? How are we going to do it? And because we don't know the hows, we give up on the ideas. You get the idea, you get emotionally involved with the idea, you make the committed decision, this is key, you make the committed decision that that's what you're going for. That's the lifestyle I want to live. This is who I want to be. I want to be happy. I want to have great relationships. I want to have a successful business. I want to be in good health. You must create this image for the success mechanism or the cybernetic mechanism to follow. This is super important. Okay. And the mechanism is going to start steering you in the direction of. When you are involved, emotionally involved with the idea, the body starts behaving naturally to that image, just like it's doing now. See, you have an image, I have an image, and my body it takes the actions naturally. So, for an example, if I don't think that people want to hear from me making phone calls, I know prospecting is a big deal with salespeople. If I'm thinking people don't want to hear from me, I'm bothering people, right? They're going to yell at me. I naturally don't want to pick up the phone. See, when you have this image, the body will naturally want to start taking action, but you must start before. You must start taking action. You must have a destination and you must start working towards that direction. So create the image here, and then the means will start to supply themselves. Excuse me. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. It's all part of the journey. Your mechanism will course correct itself. That's how a rocket goes to its target. It fails its way to the target. It goes off course. The mechanism brings it back on course. This is where I am. This is where I am. This is where I'm going. There's going to be a lot that goes on in between here. If I keep my eye on my destination, I will course correct. Yeah, there's going to be bumps. Yeah, of course. Welcome to the party. You may fall down. Welcome to the party. This is where the fun is. You don't know the house. The house, finding out the house is the fun part of life. It's the fun of your destination. I was sharing with my clients, excuse me, if you're going from Boston to LA and you're going to drive there, your destination is LA. You're going to head west. That's the direction you're going on. And then you're going to be making stops along the way. That is your plan, right? So if you're here and you want to be a mega agent or top producer, whatever it is that you want to be, this is where you are. You got to know where you're starting from. This is where you want to be. Right? And you have to think that it already is happened, already exists, and you plan. Okay, you don't know all the plan, but you'll know the first few steps to take. So the fun, though, is not necessarily getting to LA. You know, you can get to LA and it's like, oh, okay, this is beautiful. What's next? But it's the journey on the way to LA. That's the fun. So when you're focused on your goal, enjoy the journey, enjoy the becoming. And this is what I say, goals are for growing. They're not for getting. You must enjoy the journey because this journey is your life. It's all part of your life. So if you're driving from Boston to LA, meet the new people. Think about all the wonderful conversations you'll have with these people. Think about the different restaurants that you'll go to, the different types of food, the different sceneries, all the things along the way. This is what makes life fun. This is why just setting a goal for the sake of setting a goal is no fun. It's the journey. It's the becoming to the destination. Okay. When you start to, this is good too. It says further learning and continued success is accomplished by forgetting your failures, right? And remembering your successes. The mechanism will remember your successes, but because we focus on our failures so much, that's what it's conditioned. It's conditioned to failures. When I start my call with my clients, the first thing we do is go over our wins for the week. And it's really interesting how sometimes you have to pull it out of people because we can remember. If I ask them what went wrong that week, they would talk and talk and talk and talk, guaranteed. We've all done it. And we can go into detail. And then we start getting emotional. We really drag other people into it, right? But you ask somebody what a win was, they might just say, oh, yeah, last week I got a new client. They might keep it just at that. They don't go into the details and all the emotions about getting that new client because we've been very conditioned to think negatively, think about our failures, remember our failures and not our successes. So remember that, to remember the wins, because your creative mechanism will remember the wins and always want to go for the wins. You must learn to trust your creative mechanism and let it do the work. Allow it. Don't jam it up by how am I going to do this? Is it going to work? I don't know. Will people talk about me? Will they laugh about, forget that. You must allow this essence within you, that greater power within you to do its work. I've been talking to some friends and I've been doing some testing, and I've been testing time and money. And what I've been doing is, I've been waking up. Now, I used to wake up super early and I would be on the road running by 5:30 a.m. every day. Boom, 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 boom. I moved to Georgia, and I'll tell you, getting out of bed at like 7 o'clock because it's so dark here still at 7. And I said, okay. And I started controlling time. And I started saying, I shouldn't say controlling time, but I started not being a victim of time. And I'll get up and I'll say, okay, it's 7 o'clock. I've got to be dressed and ready to do something by whatever, 10 or 11 o'clock, whatever it is that I need to do. And I tell myself right then and there, I have time to go meditate. I have time to do my visualization. I have time to do my gratitude. I have time to write my goal. I have time to do my mirror work. I have time to go and exercise. I have time to come home and have breakfast. And I have time to get, showered and dressed. I tell myself that instead of waking up saying, oh gosh, I woke up late. I don't have enough time, and keep worrying about the time, worrying and worrying. And what has been happening, and it's really been quite interesting. It's been about 2 or 3 weeks. Everything's just been working out for me. It's really interesting. The same thing, and I know this may sound far-fetched, the same thing with money. You must not let money and time control you. You are the highest form of creation. Money and time is our servant, not our master. We are the masters. So when you think scarcity, I don't have enough. I don't have enough money. I can't make the bills. The kids need braces. The car broke down. What you're doing is you are becoming a victim of money. You are sending out that energy. I don't have enough. I don't have enough. I don't have enough. The universe is a return to sender energy, and it's going to be returning that same energy. You don't have enough. Okay, let's make the deal fall through. You definitely will keep you there. You don't have enough. Okay, let's get a tax bill that you didn't know about. Things always happen. You must learn to think abundantly and think everything always works out for me. I say that mantra all the time. I teach my clients to say that. Everything is always working to my advantage. Everything is always working out for me. When you have a great attitude, and your attitude is a composite of your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions, you will start to see the whole world start to shift, because it's really just you. It's not the physical world, but it's you. Your thoughts and feelings and actions are actually creating your results. The results are just a reflection of what you are thinking. You cannot change the reflection. You can only change where it's coming from. If I take a photo of a tree, right? I take a picture of the tree, I develop that picture. Well, that's old school. I look at the picture, it's not going to be a picture of the flower. It's a picture of the tree. Your results, my results, are a picture of what is going on within. So let this power work for you. Release the control. I say to my friends and my clients, I trust in the power that created me and created worlds. And it can be challenging because there's so much distraction pulling at us. Look at this, do that, You're not doing this right. Oh my gosh. This is why I tune out a lot from the outside world. I don't watch TV. I don't listen to the radio. Very, very seldom. I'm very particular about what I watch, because I'm very particular about what goes in here, what I read. I study books, psychocybernetics, U squared, The Big Leap. What else do I have here right now? The law of resonance. I fill my head with good things because I want to think good. I want to change, or I have changed that self-image that I had of lack and scarcity. I think abundance. I think beauty. I think of gratitude. I live in peace and joy and happiness. And the things that come into my life reflect that. And this is why, again, I'm very, very passionate about helping people shift the way they think and start to release these limiting beliefs. But those beliefs are a pattern. They weren't put there by you. But because we keep doing this, that voice is like elevator music. It's like background music. It is constantly playing. No matter how hard you might try to do something different, you must change this pattern because it's a pattern. It is a pattern, and the subconscious mind is following this pattern. And your subconscious mind will the universe conspires with you, and it will alter your environment, your circumstances, and your conditions. If you're working with, lousy clients, if they're constantly draining your energy, you've attracted them. You've attracted them. They are a mirror image of the way you think, feel, and behave. So look at your clients. What kind of clients are you looking at? Look at your relationships. Are they loving relationships? Are they stressful? Are they a grind? Look at your health. Look at, what's a great way to check out how you identify yourself. A coach of mine had me do this. She says, look in your closet, look at the clothes that you have, look at the car you drive, look in the cupboards, look in your pantry, your refrigerator. What kind of food is in there? These are all examples of self-identity. So if we dress, I know I used this as an example the other day. When I dress up, I feel awesome, right? I think most of us feel awesome. But when I'm in sweatpants and no makeup, I feel dumpy. I feel dumpy. I don't want to feel dumpy. So I make sure to, get ready, put on makeup, dress, get outside. And this is why with the pandemic, a lot of people just stayed in their sweatpants, and that plays in your head. You are creating the image, and that energy just weighs you down. So do yourself a favor. Ladies, put on some lipstick, do your hair, dress nice. You don't have to put on stiletto heels, but dress nice. Dress so you feel good for you. Gentlemen, the same thing, right? Get a nice haircut. Wear a nice outfit. Doesn't have to be fancy, but you want to feel good. Dress the part of the new self-image that you want to create for yourself because it's your choice. See, and remember up here, this way we can accept or reject an idea. We can choose. Down here, when we were children, we had no choice. No choice. I'm giving you this information. It's up to you to decide. Do I want to keep this self-image? If it's not serving you, if it's serving you, go for it, right? Continue. But if it's not serving you to live a better, more abundant life, you have the choice to change it. It's all up to you. You can torment yourself or you can live in peace and joy. It's all up to you. You can decide. All righty. So as I wrap up, I have a quote here, excuse me. Emerson said, do the thing and you will have the power. So I want to thank you again for joining me. And remember, you cannot outperform your self-image. Your self-image will act like an electric fence. Okay, every time you go beyond it, you're going to feel fearful, or you'll get zapped by failing at something. Okay, so we must learn to change the self-image to one that we want, a higher vision for ourselves. And the benefit is not only do you feel great, you start attracting beautiful things in your life, but there's a beautiful ripple effect with your family and your friends. So you're the highest form of creation, and no one is able to guess what the human being is capable of achieving. Please remember that. Thank you for joining me today. And if you'd like to have a private one-on-one conversation on how I can awaken the potential within you, feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to speak with you. Thank you again for joining me, and I will see you next week. Take care.